suddenly yesterday it was working, today it is not working.
That is intlona, sir?
Huh?
Intlona idi?
No. I just come to my Irifan.
Yeah.
So I have
Nirmal,
to,
we are starting, Nirmal.
yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. We can go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, we are on live now. Sridevi, mute only.
Yeah, we are on live now, sir.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Start.
Yeah. Is it live? Okay. Good morning. I'm Mrs. Sridevi, Faculty Department of Commerce. On behalf of Bhavans Vivekananda College, Management, Principal and staff, extend a warm welcome to Mr. G. Vijay Kumar, Chief Consultant, Indian Railways Institute of Financial Management, Secunderabad, to our esteemed organization. I'm privileged to introduce Sri G. Vijay Kumar, who has vivid experience of getting associated with Indian Railways for more than 2 decades and worked as principal in St. Mary's Centenary Degree College for a period of 1.5 decades. A rare person with a combination of industry exposure as well as skilled academician. I'm blessed and honored as your student to introduce you this morning. May I request you to take over the session, sir?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, sir.
Word. So I hope I'll do my best and I'll do justice to the students. Thank you very much for inviting me on the show. Okay. Once
You're
again,
welcome, sir.
Geetanjali ma'am, thank you, Tirmal. Thank
We
you.
are honored, sir.
Thanks to all of you. Convey my regards to Srilata ma'am and Ashok sir also. Yeah.
Yes.
So, can we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning, students. So I would be starting for you for the, on amalgamation and mergers. All are audible, ma'am? Can we start?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir,
Yes,
you are audible.
Yes. See, today the mergers and acquisitions, have increased the Indian subcontinent over the years. These deals have played a very important role in the growth of any company in the long term and also the economy. We have, a lot of mergers taking place. Can you believe today there are around 4,000 mergers in India in a period of last 4 to 5 years. If you take from 2015 to 2020, if you take, there are around 4,000 mergers and acquisitions, amounting to, more than, around $310 billion it is. It's a big business today. Then this is mainly attributed to what, these mergers and acquisitions have taken place in the industry, goods, energy, telecom, media. Then I want you to know one of the main reasons for this ever increasing mergers and acquisitions is the increasing competition, because of the landscape is owned by the changing, increasing availability of internet. So many things are there. So that is just a small introduction for you. Please, all of my dear students, books are always there, but I want all of you to be, browsing the internet, what kind of mergers, what kind of acquisitions are taking place day in, day out, today, every second day you come across some merger taking place. That there are so many reasons, but I'll not trouble you all with a lot of information immediately. I'll give you the ways how you develop your skills, understanding mergers and acquisitions a little bit. Thereafter, your lecturers will take down. You might have all of you heard of recently, the Vodafone was there, Idea is there. You might have seen in the TVs also, VI, that Vodafone and Idea have been merged. That is one. You all have heard Walmart is one of the biggest, store in the US and all. So they have joined with the acquired the Flipkart. Then ArcelorMittal, the steel company. Just for your information, these few things have given where you can browse on the internet and see, understand what are the important points, how the mergers take place, what are the terms, what are the conditions, how the management will fight between them, what are the things they want to take over. So all those things you have to learn. This understanding the accounting part is okay. That is there in the book. Lecturers will teach you all, you will understand. But the core thing I want all of you all to understand is why the mergers take place, why the acquisitions take place. Now, a little bit also, you all have heard about Maruti Motors we are having in India. That was operating in India over so many years. Then they joined the Suzuki based in Japan. So it has become Maruti Suzuki. Many people do not know Maruti Suzuki, they say, but it is amalgamated with Suzuki. Now it is called Maruti Suzuki India Limited. I don't know whether you all have heard of it. Satyam Computers, one of the leading computers company was there, owned by, the CEO of the company was Mr. Ramalinga Raju. I want all of you to go through after my class what has a scam taken place. Satyam Computers was the leading company those days, and when Bill Gates, the chief of Microsoft, who had come to Hyderabad and who had shared platform with Mr. Ramalinga Raju, he had a vision, so they have not done. There was a scam, but many people think it is a scam. It was not a scam. I hope you all know in the balance sheet there is one line in the last line which will be certified by the chartered accountant saying that to the best of my knowledge the above balance sheet is true and fair. It is certified by the chartered accountants. So that has been being certified by the chartered accountants of Satyam Computers, but that their balance sheet was totally fudged. The figures were totally fudged in the sense there was no cash in hand, there was no cash at bank. Those days, Satyam Computers started their another company, a subsidiary company of Satyam Computer called Maitas Limited. Opposite of Satyam was Maitas. They joined Maitas Infrastructure Company joined. So they were into the development of infrastructure, roads, buildings, in high-tech city. So they pumped in the money for buying all those land and all was pumped in by the Satyam Computers into the Maitas. The idea was Satyam Computers will give the money to Maitas. Maitas will develop it, infrastructure. Then later on they sell to all the multinational companies, everything. Then that money will be pumped back to the Satyam. But that did not happen. The time gap was there. Then there was a small problem in Lehman Brothers in US. The entire, Lehman Brothers was, insolvency has come, then it had to close, it had affected the whole world. That time all the software companies had to be closed. The software engineers, had problem. So that time this Maitas company could not take over, the way it wanted to. So that time what happened? It has to be closed. Satyam Computer was gone into, and the CEO of the company, the chartered accountant, the best of the Satyam Computers, chartered accountants were, if you know, the big four, they were doing. Pricewater was doing the auditing of their companies. They also went behind the bars. They were also put in jail because they have certified the Satyam Computers balance sheet saying that it is true and fair, wherein the figures were totally fudged. There was nothing, no cash in hand, no cash at bank was there. It was all given to Maitas, and Maitas could not materialize that money, could not return the money. So it happened. So these things keep happening, and Satyam Computers immediately was taken over by Mahindra Satyam. It is called Mahindra Satyam. Thereafter, Mahindra Satyam has become as what? Today, Mahindra Satyam has become as Tech Mahindra. Now it is called Tech Mahindra Limited in 2012. So this is how I gave a little history. I want all of you to really go through each company, what was it initially, when it started, what were their objective, how they were doing, why it was merged, why it was amalgamated, why it was absorbed. All those things I want you all to learn. Means you'll have a better idea. I hope that is little bit about what mergers and acquisitions I've given. We'll take it forward. So why we should amalgamate, a small idea for you. Why should we amalgamate is what? To acquire cash resources, to eliminate competition, tax savings, economies of large scale operations, increase shareholders value, to reduce the degree of risk by diversification, managerial effectiveness. These are all the points, I can talk about on each point so much time, but I don't have much time. So this is the main reason for the companies to amalgamate, the cash resources today. The main problem for every company is what? Cash. It is a cash, cash is a crunch. So to overcome that, they amalgamate. And there is a competition between, like X company is also doing the same kind of business, Y also is the same thing. So we both, if we join, we can eliminate competition and we can have some kind of monopoly. So many things are there. There are so many reasons for getting competition. Then we can save the tax savings. A big company joining the small company, so the income will be spread over and will come in a less tax bracket sort of, there's a lot of things comes, tax, how they save. Then economies of large scale production, all of you. If when two companies, big company join together, production will be more. When the production is huge, we got economies of, large scale production. We save on power, we save on labor, we save on so many things. That factors of production, land, labor, capital, organization we call. So lot of operations we can save it. Increase the shareholders. Finally, what happens when two companies join together? There is a shareholders value will increase. And there's one more is what? To reduce the degree of risk by diversity. When you diversify, there's a risk element. If you are in one company doing something, if it is not doing, it is better you join with some other company and diversify. So there's a risk. The risk, you will reduce the risk. And managerial effectiveness is there. 2 minds or 3 minds are better than 1 mind, like that. So many things are there. So these are the important points, why we amalgamate. Am I doing fast, Thirmal, or slow, or is it okay? You should tell me.
Sir, it's absolutely.
Okay, thank you. You just in between, you please tell me. I'll modulate because
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Right, sir.
This. Then a little bit of advantages. I want what I told you. Why they do it? Out of that, this advantage with the competition between the companies gets eliminated. So you will not compete with me. I will not compete. We both together join together. Then our research and development facilities are increased. So a big company can have more research, more development. Operating cost can be reduced. Stability in the prices of the goods is always maintained. So very important today, price. There's a war. You sell for 10 rupees. If I sell for 9 rupees, the entire market will come up to me. So we have to, stabilize the prices of the goods. So it's one of the very important, to survive in the market. Today's market is pushed by the price. Price is the one thing which pushes the market. So if you during the Diwali time, Dasra time, you see 50% discount, 60% discount, 70%, all that. Why? Because that is why the business runs. So you should be very carefully in doing this. So this will help you. One of the biggest advantage of amalgamation is on stability in the prices. When there are advantages, my dear students, you should always think there are always a disadvantage also. So for every law, there is a flaw, they say, like that. If there is an advantage, there will be disadvantages. So it also comes with a package of disadvantages. So amalgamation may lead to elimination of what? Healthy competition. So what happens when you are doing nicely and when I am doing, so you try to, do lot of hera-fairy in between, try to see that the other companies out of the market. You try to reduce it. I hope you all know. I'll come back to that point later on little bit. So how companies eliminate the other companies, that is another very important. This is one of the important point. Disadvantage of amalgamation is what? It eliminates the healthy competition. There's no healthy competition at all. Reduction of employees may take place normally because when two companies are joined together, so 1 or 2 persons, 1 or 200 people will be redundant. They'll remove them from this. There could be additional debt to pay. Business combinations could lead to monopoly. That's what I've been telling in the market, which is not always positive. Monopoly is always not positive. It leads to a lot of negative things also. The goodwill and identity of the old company is lost. So the company which was there from last 100 years, maybe having lot of goodwill and identity, that will be lost in a jiffy. It will be lost. The moment you are amalgamated with another company, you lose your identity, you lose your goodwill. So these are the disadvantages, of amalgamation. So this is a theory part, my dear students, all of you. I've just given you the tip of the amalgamation, this ocean. You can understand why it is happening, what are the undercurrents, why it is happening, who is there, who is. So lot of people, politically motivated, it will be so many, all different persons will be involved, how amalgamations take place. So please read the things and make some case laws of, take some 2 companies and make a case law and present it to your lecturer so that you'll understand much better. That will be taken care of. So conclusion, in the amalgamation, I'm just concluding it before I start the accounting part of it, which is relevant for you from the academic point of view. But this is, I want you to understand in the general perspective.
Sir, before we go into the accounting part.
Yes.
Sir, on behalf of the students and teachers, I would just like to ask a question.
Yes.
Sir, calculation of purchase consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah, earlier probably it would have been, the deals would have been working out little easier only, but now after introduction of these terms like fair value measurement, brand valuation, value added statements and all, do you think that the transferor and transferee's deal would work out so easily? Because every company would like to get the maximum out of it. So especially these terms would have much added to that the intricacies of purchase consideration calculation, sir.
Very true, very true. It is not that easy. The directors and all, they push it in a different way. They corner them, with their own base and means, so percentages will reduce that fair value. So many things are happening. It is not that easy. Very good point. But that I will touch upon when I come to that point. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very, very important point. It is not that easy that, you take your assets and liabilities. They will see if the asset is something. See, it is like, I will just give a small example for you to understand. It is like, you can take, suppose you are selling your land or something, distress sale. When you are in the distress, you are at a receiving end.
Yes, sir.
So you may not be able to fight it out at your price. So the price has to be compromised, the price has to be reduced, the price has to be, so many things are there. So these things will happen. What you said, what is there on the book, it will not, nothing is like that on what it is there. So yes, a lot of undercurrents will take. That's what I was telling my students. You tell them, just read of each company when they are amalgamating, how they sit across the table and what are the terms, what are the conditions, how they manipulate, how they reduce, how they increase the share. So many things are there. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
So in conclusion, what is amalgamation is one of the tools that can help companies avoid competition among them and add to the market offerings. This is one. It is a mutual advantage of both the companies. Sometimes it is advantageous, sometimes it is different. So I'm being optimistic, I said. So when 2 companies join, it is a mutual advantage of both the companies. You are joining for some purpose benefit, I am also joining you. See, when girl and boy getting married, it is a mutual advantage. The girl should not say, I'm just marrying him, that fellow, just because of I have to get married. No, you also want to get married. She also wants to get married. Somewhere, some advantage you should have, mutual advantage.
Yes, sir.
Is it correct?
Yes, sir. That's true.
Right. So it serves as an apt method of corporate restructuring to bring about a change for better and make business environment competitive. So this is how I just wanted to conclude the importance of your amalgamations and all. But one session, it's very difficult for me to finish for these people in amalgamations and all. But still, you will take it forward. Okay, I've just given you just the idea. From there, you can take it forward. Thank you. So just as all of you know, the term amalgamation means when 2 or more. See, in simple language, when 2 or more companies join together, forming all together a new company. This is there. I'm just telling in simple language. A and B together form all together a C company. It is called amalgamation. When 2 or more companies join and forming all together a new company. This all you should understand because this is what you are going to do it in the exam. Tirmal, just because you are there, I just wanted to share one, last 15 years, I think this is, I don't know, we are live only. I should tell or not, I do not know, but doesn't matter. I'll share that. So last 15 years, I was not 15, 20 years. Sometimes I don't teach amalgamation to the student. They said, sir, I can't remove 12 entries. Some people don't know ledger posting. They do not know Ramaro to cash and Ramaro to cash will come or by cash. How can I teach them? Then I try to when I try to link with them, see in the second year, those days the amalgamation was in third year. I used to tell them in dissolution, partnership is dissolved. The same thing, dissolution of partnership is something equivalent to dissolution of, it's a company. So it's
Yes.
almost 90% same. Only thing is I'll change here, I'll change equity share capital, Sunday shareholders, their partners here shareholders, something like that. No, sir, we left off dissolution only. We don't know what is dissolution. Then where I start about amalgamation. So finally, what I used to do, I used to see the pattern. Then finally, there is a choice between amalgamation or absorption is to come and internal reconstruction. So majority of the papers, they had internal. So I used to push on internal reconstruction. And imagine 90% of the students are 100%, they used to get 100 out of 100 because they used to do internal reconstruction. I'm just sharing how I can see this is we are having, even when I had some lecturers coming for the interview and all, no? Yeah, for the lecture. So they used to tell, sir, we left off in some chapter in in a choice. So I had a lot of experience. I'm just sharing with all of you all. It's very interesting, teaching experience. So let's come back. So this is what, when two or more companies join all together and form altogether a new company, it is called amalgamation. One running company taking over another running company is called absorption. However, Companies Act have made, they didn't remove the differentiation between this amalgamation, absorption and all that. So I'll tell you that. So this Thirmal, can I share with you so that you can give it to them? Okay.
Sure, sir.
Okay, I'll give, so that I'll not read everything, I'll just tell them so that
Yes.
important points I can spend some time.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So this is amalgamation absorption. So what is generally amalgamation is done between two companies engaged in the same line of activity. That is what I want to you all. He has some synergy in their operation. Synergy means what, the push, that equivalently, that you should always have that kind of synergy means what, that positiveness will be there in their operations. So, and for diversification also, and for expansion of the service. This is how amalgamations is done between two. The same thing I'm telling over and over, but I put it as points here for them to understand. Then we have got reconstruction. There are two types of external and internal. External is what, in simple language, one company is formed for the purpose of taking over another running company is called external reconstruction. Here, one company is formed. Absorption is what, one running company taking over another running company is called absorption. Here, one company is formed for the purpose of taking over another running company is called external reconstruction. I'll talk about that in a internal reconstruction. In simple language, no liquidation, no formation. The same company is being reconstructed or reorganized. Okay. Why they do it? For suppose there are lots of their companies doing lots of losses over the years. They are having accumulated losses. Year after year, they are making losses. To make those losses, one fine day they decide they will try to reorganize their company or reconstruct their company. Those losses will be written off and a fresh company will come out of it. The same company. Only thing is, when they are doing their new balance sheet, suppose X balance sheet is there, it is being internally reconstructed. So the new balance sheet should be written as what, A company limited, in bracket you will write as and reduced, means it has gone through turbulence, it has gone through a lot of problems in past. So it is that company. So public should be aware while dealing with this company. So that for that purpose, it is mandatory that when internal reconstruction is done, they should write in the balance sheet as what, and reduced in the top. I'll just give a small example to all my students. So for example, a person is having a heart attack. He's having lot of morbidities. He's got so many things. So one fine day when he will like to go for an open heart surgery or something, only in the belief that if he goes open heart surgery, he may survive for another 10 or 15 years. So something like that, the same company will be reconstructed, thinking that from there onwards it can do better than what it was earlier. So the writing of the losses, writing of some assets, bringing it back to the market value and so many things. So there's an order of how to write off those losses. Your lecturers will tell you. There's a method of writing of those who will sacrifice first the equity shareholders, the preference shareholders, then the creditors little bit, and the debt, like that. There's an order of sacrifice done by the people to write off your losses. And how is this? A lot of people have the difference between amalgamation and merger. There's a thin difference. The slight difference is there. The theory part I wrote it here, but I'll just make in a simple. This is like absorption only. Here I just want to tell you, it is a new type of. It's a type of merger, amalgamation, in which two or more companies combine together to form a new company. This I want you all to understand. All the mergers are not amalgamations. That is one point I want. All the mergers are not amalgamation. Then what it is? In amalgamation, there should be minimum 3 companies. Means when A company, B company form all together and form a C company, that means there are 3 companies. Amalgamation of 2 companies results in a new company. So A, B, C. In this size of the, the size of the target companies are comparable. Which in amalgamation, all the target they can be comparable, but the merger is a process wherein 2 or more companies are combined to form either a new company or an existing company absorbing the target companies. Basically, what it means, it's a process to consolidate multiple businesses. I will make an example to make you more clearly. It is more on the technical side into one business unit. So here I said all the amalgamations are part of merger, but merger is not part of amalgam. All the mergers are part of amalgam. Minimum 2 companies, there minimum 3 companies are required, as one absorbing company will survive after absorbing the target company. This is what. In this, the size of the absorbing company is always relatively larger than the absorbed company. That I want you to understand. See here, example I said GVK Limited is one company and SSN Limited is another company. 2 companies. These 2 companies joining together, they can become DSV Limited new company or GVK Limited it can be. If it is amalgamation, what? GVK Limited and SSN Limited form together and form all together ABC Limited. That is amalgamation. In absorption, in merger is something like absorption, a thin difference is there. GVK Limited and SSN Limited both together can be a new company also, or it can be GVK Limited. So this is a slight difference is there in amalgamation and merger. So that your lecturers may try to tell you much more in detail when you are in the class. So let me come back to the features already. See, when I told about advantages and all, from there only the features will come. What are those features? 2 or more companies are required to merge themselves. That is compulsory. Existing companies which are merged should be liquidated. This is another condition. Existing means A company, B company should be liquidated and C company should be formed. A new company is formed further, that is a C, which I told, to take over the companies which are merged. So A company, B company should be liquidated and C company should be formed. That is one of the very, very important feature of amalgamation. This is another point for you to remember. The value of the new company formed is expected to be greater than the total of the independent values of the amalgamated. So it is expected. Naturally, when 2 companies are formed, the independent value of the amalgamated companies, this new company should be more than that, because 20 and 30 is equal to what? 50. It has to be 50. It cannot be less than 50. So that I want you to understand. Very important point for you to remember. When you do the consolidated balance sheet of the new company, so the total value should be greater than the amalgamating companies. This is not important, they'll tell you. Okay. Now, amalgamation is maybe in the nature of 2, merger and purchase. This I want you all of you. Thirumal, you are not teaching as per AS 103, this latest after.
No, sir, we are going as 14.
14 only, no?
Yes, sir.
Actually, there was some confusion for me because I left. I do not know whether you are doing this or that. So I had little bit. I should have asked you in bit.
No, we are not using business combination, sir. We are going as per amalgamation, sir.
Yeah. That also I made a small slide for them to understand that what's happening today. In the end, that conclusion I kept it. Okay, I'll come back.
Sure, sir.
Amalgamation in the nature of merger and purchase, I want all of you all to understand, very, very important while you are doing the problem. This is very important. Whether the problem should be done, is it in the nature of merger or purchase? First question to be answered when you see the problem. is it is the nature of merger or in the nature of purchase. So what is in the nature of merger is the conditions. AS 14, gives the conditions that all the 5 conditions have to be satisfied, all the 5. If any one conditions of the 5 are not satisfied, it will be in the nature of purchase. So what are those conditions are this, sir? All the assets and liabilities of the selling company become, after amalgamation, the assets and liabilities of the purchase. So all the assets and the liabilities of the selling company, in selling company will become the assets of the purchasing company. 1. Shareholders holding at least 90% of the face value of the equities of the selling company, they have to become the shareholders of the purchasing company. And those shareholders should be given the equity shares of the purchasing company. That means indirectly they are becoming the shareholders of the new company. So that is the third point. Those shareholders, this 90% of them should be given the equity shares. That is what I said. The consideration for the amalgamation receivable by those equity shareholders of the selling company who agree to become equity shareholders of the purchasing company is discharged by the purchasing company wholly by the issue of equity shares in the purchasing company, except that cash may be paid in respect. See, there is a fraction of, for every 7 shares, there are 9 shares are given. So when you are giving, it will come to 29.3 shares. So 29 shares, you will get it in shares, and that 0.3 you will be given in that fraction is paid in respect of what? In the fraction will be paid in the form of cash, and that fraction will be paid at the market rate. So share value may be 10 rupees today, but the market value may be 40 rupees. So 40 rupees into 0.3 you will get it. So like that they have given. So this is when you are doing the problem, your lecturers will tell you very clearly. But I want you to understand these 3 points very important, 5 points. Assets and liabilities of the purchasing company and selling company will become the assets and liabilities of the purchasing company. 90% of the shareholders will become the shareholders of the purchasing company, and those 90% of the shareholders should be given, will be given equity shares of the purchasing company. Indirectly, it means they will become the shareholders of the purchasing company, and the business of the selling company is intended to be carried on by the purchasing company after amendment. That is another one. And the last and the 5th point is there are no adjustments is intended to be made in the book value. If the land and building is 50,000, it will be taken as 50,000. No change in the book values of the intended in the purchasing company. So these 5 conditions have to be fulfilled. So what I said, 1, assets and liabilities of the purchasing company, selling company will become assets and liabilities of purchasing. 90% of the shareholders will become the shareholders of the purchasing company, and this 90% of the shareholders should be given equity shares. That means they will become equity shareholders. And 4th is what? No change in the book value of the assets. And 5th is what I said, that business is intended to be continued. So please remember this 5 points. Sometimes you'll get a question on the exam also. What are the, as per AS 14, what are the conditions to be fulfilled in the nature of merger and purchase? Means if you write these 5 questions, 5 points, you'll get full marks, like a theory question based. Then that's in the last year period, when all the above 5 conditions are satisfied, it is called amalgamation in the nature of merger. And if any one or more conditions mentioned above are not satisfied, it is called amalgamation in the nature of purchase. Okay, this is very important point. That all what I spoke to you is what theoretical you can read. I'm going to send the PowerPoint and you should do a lot of reading and all that will. But coming to the examination point of view as a subject from the accounting point of view, amalgamation in the nature of merger or purchase, first you have to identify, then these conditions are satisfied. Based on these conditions only our entries and opening entries and all will have little bit of changes. Please understand that difference. So again, a distinction between amalgamation in the nature of merger and amalgamation. See, an amalgamation which is in the nature of merger, it is nothing, there is a genuine pooling of assets, means assets are added. Your land and buildings 50,000, my land and buildings 30,000 will be added and shown as 80. The genuine pooling of assets and liabilities of the amalgamating companies, but also of shareholders and businesses of the 2 companies. Shareholders also interest is combined. That is very important. Pooling of these 2. All the assets and liabilities, including reserves and surpluses of selling company after amalgamation, become assets and liabilities of the purchasing company, which I already discussed. This is how distinction is done. Then the business of the selling company is intended to be carried, same point. Equity share of both the companies will have proportion share in the business, because 90% is coming, means is almost proportion. It is like 100% close to. Then an amalgamation in the nature of purchase water is in effect A mode by which one company acquires another company normally do not have proportionate share in the equity, because that 90% of the share capital shareholders should become shareholders. Here that condition is not there, so it can be anything. All the shareholders can run away, they'll be paid off there, and this company will need, those shareholders need not be the shareholders. That is very important point in the nature of purchase. And the business of the selling company may not be intended to be carried or continued. So these two very important points as per amalgamation in the nature of merger and purchase, please remember when you do the problem, you'll find it. Then if another point, this, if the purchase consideration exceeds the net assets value than the excess amount, and the excess amount is recorded as goodwill, while if it is less than the net asset value, it is recorded. So when you write in the purchasing company, assets taken out to liabilities taken out to business purchase, when you write, there's a difference in the debit and the credit. If the debit is more, it is transferred to capital reserve. The credit is more, it is transferred to the goodwill. If the credit is more, it will go to the goodwill. Some people will ask why to goodwill, why to capital reserve. Suppose for you, I don't know if it is a board in the classroom, I would have made some example and taught you. Just a small for you to understand, when you take over the assets, suppose assets are 1 lakh, to liabilities are 30,000, and to business purchases say 1 lakh. So 1 lakh 30, you are taking assets are 50,000 to liabilities and this. So you are taking over assets less and paying more. That means what? You are paying for the company is a good one, goodwill. But if you are taking more of assets and paying less of that, so that's sort of a profit, it will be transferred to capital. See, there are two types of reserves. As students, you should remember, many people do not know capital reserves and revenue reserves. Capital reserves, we transfer to capital reserve because such things do not happen on a daily basis. Once such things happens on a rare basis, such profits are transferred to capital. Like, in a business, buying and selling profit is transferred to revenue reserve profit, and the profit is transferred to the revenue reserves. But if you, by chance, if you remember in your second year in issue of shares, when the shares are forfeited, share forfeiture to capital reserve we transfer, because forfeitures will not take place on a daily basis. So something which are abnormal in nature, which are not of revenue nature, such reserves are transferred to capital. Even during amalgamation also, why I am so specifically telling, I want you all to remember capital reserve and goodwill, why it will come capital reserve, why it will go to goodwill. That is one point which I wanted to share with you as far this is concerned. So this is, there are two types of companies. Say they call transferor company, that is nothing but vendor company or seller. Normally we say selling company, vendor company, transfer company. Transferee is called purchasing company, buyer company, buying company. Okay, all this. I want you to remember, because I always use the word closing entries and opening entries. Closing entries will be written in the books. A company which is closing means what? A selling company or a vendor company. Vendor company will write closing entries, and opening entries are written by the purchasing company. So in the case of amalgamation, A, B is forming into C. A company will close the books, B company will close the books, C company will write the opening entries. If it is absorption, one running company taking over another company, A will write the closing entries and B will write the opening entries. So these closing entries and opening entries in case of amalgamation and external reconstruction are same. Because in amalgamation and external amalgamation, what happens? Two companies are joining and new firm. External, one is closed and one is formed. So opening and closing entries are one and the same. For internal reconstruction, the entries are totally different. No way connected to this. Okay. That I wanted to tell little bit. Then coming to the accounting of amalgamation, again, there are two methods. I don't want to rush. There are so many things. First, understand when you are accounting for amalgamation is pooling of interest method. Though this method, pooling means what? Nothing but what? In the nature of what? Merger. Though this method, through this method, the assets and liabilities and reserves of the transferor company are recorded by company at their existing carrying amounts. Please do remember this very important point. Pooling of interest method in the nature of merger. Purchase method is what? The transferring company accounts either by incorporating the assets and liabilities at their existing amounts or by allocating the consideration to individual assets, something, their market value, they change the market. Land and buildings, they may show at 1 lakh, but we'll write at 40,000 or 50,000 as per our conditions on the basis of their fair values on the date of amount. So this is how you should remember. There are certain points which are connected to that example. I've already told, please go through that regarding of reserves and I want to come to important, no, because I have to do a little bit of how to remember the entries. Technically, I'll show you an easy method of remembering the entries and purchase considerations. Purchase consideration is of three types in simple. They are on your screen, you can see, but listen to me in simple language. One is called lump sum method, one is called net asset method, one is called net payment method. So let us take A Limited is being taken over by B Limited. So A Limited takes over B Limited. So A says to B Limited, I will take your company for 1 lakh, I'll take your company for 10 lakhs, I'll take your company for 15. So there's no question of your assets, the liabilities, nothing is considered on lump sum basis. It is called lump sum method. Straight away, we tell. So when you are writing in lump sum method, this goodwill or capital reserve will come in lump sum method. So there will be a difference in assets taken over or liabilities taken over. Okay. So second method is what? When they do not mention any method of what method of purchase consideration is there, we normally use the net asset method where the assets are taken over, the liabilities are taken over. The difference is what? Purchase consideration. There, when you're writing the opening entries, I'm just for a hint for you to remember, when it is net asset method, there will not be any difference either as for goodwill or capital reserve. You just remember this point in the books of purchasing company. In the merger or purchase, we write, in the merger, we write general reserve. In the purchase, we write either goodwill or capital reserve. There, when it is a second method of purchase consideration, there will not be any difference, just a point for you to remember. And the third method is net payment method. In the sense, they will tell for every 2 shares in your company, I'll give 3 shares of my company. For every 1 preference share, I'll give 2 preference share. For every share, 3 rupees in cash or 10 rupees in cash. They'll give the method. So while doing the purchase consideration, we have to calculate the purchase consideration in this method. We have to calculate and do. That is a piece. So there are 3 methods. One is lump sum method. One is net payment method. If they do not give any method, it is net asset method, you remember. So lump sum method they'll give, net payment method they'll. If they do not mention about the purchase consideration, please adopt net asset method. So once again, I'm reading for you this what is there on the screen for you. What I told you in a nutshell, I'm telling. Purchase consideration is the amount paid by the purchasing company for the purchase. See, today, purchase consideration is nothing. When you are buying a company, any company, you have to pay. If you're buying in the road, if you're buying a pen or a book or a shirt or a pant, whatever it is, you have to pay something. That is called purchase, something in return. You know, if you are doing mercantile law, consideration is there. Offer, acceptance, consent. Without one of the important, conditions, for this contract to come in, essentials of valid contract, they should be offer, consideration, acceptance, then there should be consideration. No consideration, no agreement, So like there are exceptions are there, okay? So consideration is something in return we have to pay. Let it be 1 rupee or there a lot of things will come, educate consideration and all, but here I'm telling consideration means something in return. So purchase consideration is the amount paid by the purchasing company for the purchase of business or the selling company. Okay, fine. Purchase consideration means and includes the aggregate shares and others. I told you, payment in cash or other assets or anything it can be. It should not include the amount of liabilities taken over by the purchasing company, which will be paid directly by the purchasing company. So methods of purchase consideration I already mentioned is lump sum method. When the purchasing company agrees to pay a lump sum amount to the vendor and selling, that's called here. So example, I said Vijay Limited purchased the business of Ajay Limited and agrees to pay 50 lakhs in lump sum. See, this is very simple. Vijay Limited takes over Ajay Limited for 50 lakhs, that is called lump sum method. They will say lump sum method means they'll give the amount lump sum, that's all. Then thereafter the entries will start. So no need to calculate here. No need to calculate of purchase consideration. Lump sum method, you don't have to calculate. If it is second method, that is net asset method, it is to be calculated by calculating the net worth of the assets taken over by the purchasing company. That is assets taken over at an agreed values minus the liabilities taken over at the agreed values. Am I clear this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So important points to be kept in mind while this is another, see, net asset method, what I want you to understand while you are calculating, these are the points. The term assets include cash in hand. If they say the assets are taken over means cash in hand, cash at bank also are included unless otherwise stated, but will not include accumulated losses. What are accumulated losses? When in the asset side, see, many of the students, when I ask them, why P&L account is coming on the asset side, why advertising suspense is coming on the asset side, like that, they do not have an idea. They are not assets, they are fictitious, they are in the form, just by virtue of showing a debit balance, to the extent not written off, they will be shown on the asset side. They are not assets, they will not fetch you anything. Actually, the company over the years have been doing losses. They could not write off to their P&L account, so they kept it as debit balance and shown on the asset side. So slowly they write off. So at the time of amalgamation, when the assets are taken over, that does not mean these fictitious assets are taken over. Fictitious assets are losses. P&L account, debit balance, advertising suspense, preliminary expenses. There are many are there. So these are all will not be transferred. It will not include in the assets. Please remember this. If any asset is not taken over, it should not be included in the calculation of PC. If it's not taken over, don't include. Otherwise, assets means all assets are taken over. These are the two important points you should keep in mind while calculating the PC. And the term liabilities means only third party. So third party means what? In the liability side, I want you to understand, many people do not know what is a third party. Company shareholders and the company are two parties. All of you should remember. That is called based on the business entity concept. So in the first year you would have done sole trader, share capital will come on the liability side because business has to pay to the owner. So there are two parties. The third party is what? No, in a company, third party means what? Company has to pay to the shareholders and company has to pay to the outsiders. So outsiders are called third party. So the term trade liabilities will include only bills payable and trade creditors, but does not include other third party liabilities. What are the other third party liabilities? There many are there. Debentures are there, so many are there. Okay. So trade liabilities, trade in the sense buying and selling. By virtue of buying and selling, what liabilities you come across? Bills receivable, bills payable and sundry creditors. So this will include bills payable and sundry creditors, but does not include third party. That one point I'll tell you once again when I come down. While I'm doing the PC, I'll explain it much clearer. Now, in the liability side, there are certain funds. Like one small example I'll make, workmen compensation fund. Workmen compensation fund is a fund which has been created by the company to pay to the worker when any calamity takes place, worker breaks his head or leg or something, he is fallen from the, from the staircase or from the first floor or something while doing his job. So he has to be given because he has sustained some injury while on duty. So the company has to pay him some compensation. So suddenly if such things comes, to meet such unforeseen liabilities, they maintain every year some amount is set aside. One example for that is workmen compensation fund. So this workmen compensation fund is not a liability. You have removed from your profit and kept it, thinking that if any employee, if any labor will fall or something, we have to pay. If nothing happens, no one need to pay. This entire amount will go back to the shareholders again. From the profit only we have set aside. If nothing happens, again it will go back to the shareholders. But if something happens, that has to be met from this liability. So while amalgamation, while at the time of amalgamation, if that fund, if any fund, denotes a liability, suppose out of 10 lakhs, 2 lakhs is to be paid to the worker. It says there is a liability to the worker to the extent of 2 lakhs. So that portion of the fund only should be transferred to the realization and the remaining amount should be transferred to share. So similarly, if any liability is not taken over, that should not be this. I hope I'm clear. This fund, if that fund is able, workmen compensation fund is of 10 lakhs. If it says it denotes only 2 lakhs is a liability, that portion only should be transferred to realization and the remaining 8 lakhs should be transferred to the shareholders because that will not denote a liability. Which portion denotes only should be transferred. Similarly, if any liability is not taken over by the purchasing company, that should not be part of the purchase consideration. Goodwill will be added to the purchase consideration at agreed value being intangible because they will tell goodwill will be valued at 10,000 or 30,000 or 40,000. So because it is intangible, it will be added at the agreed values. This will come when I do a small problem. I kept it for you to explain it. I hope. Right. So a small illustration for the purchase. I am not taking a big problem. So this is how a balance sheet of a company, corporate company looks, equity and liability, shareholders. So many people, many students are, today also some students do not know why share capital is a liability. When they say share capital belongs to the owners, why it is a liability say. See, please remember my students, business entity concept, whether sole trader or a partnership or a company for anything, public sector or private sector, government or non-government, So that entity concept is very important. You should understand based on which our accounting is based. That's why they are called generally accepted accounting principles. You all, I know, I'm just openly telling you all, majority of my students, your students or my students, whoever it is, they are not aware of the general accepted account. Why that? So all our accounting is based on those assumptions only, based on that accrual accounting, periodicity concept or accrual concept or entity concept, all those concepts, matching concept, all those concepts are taken into account, and our financial statements are prepared on those concepts only. So in that, I just wanted to tell that so that my dear students, all of you, please go through once again your concepts, then you'll understand much better. See, understanding the subject is different from knowing the subject. See, you by heart it and write the exam, you'll get full marks. But understanding why this is coming here, why that is going there, why not here, then you'll have everything is got its own importance. So shareholders, from the balance sheet point, the shareholders funds is under shareholders, share capital and reserves belong to the shareholder. The company has to pay shareholders this much. The company has to pay to the outsiders non-current liabilities, and current liability are outsiders. So this is the liability side of the balance sheet. Then coming to the asset side, we have non-current assets. Non-current is nothing but fixed assets because they are not current and non-current. Is the difference is what? No, current which are changing. I tell all my students very simple. Cash in and cash at bank which changes on a daily basis is current, which changes. Which does not change, like furniture, building, is a non-current, that is fixed asset. Land and buildings are fixed. Intangible assets, you all know it, but I'm just making a understanding you once again little bit of. So current assets, stock, debtors, cash is total assets. So assets and liabilities, we have the balance sheet. So suppose company Das Limited takes over the business of Shiv Limited. This we have this is a balance sheet of what is it? Shiv Limited. No, company Das is taking over the business of Shiv Limited. Okay, there too. The value agreed for various assets is they are giving goodwill so much, land and building so much, plant and machinery so much, and stock so much, debtor so much. Das Limited does not take over the cash but agrees to assume the liability. So he is not taking over the cash. So and liability of sundry creditors. Okay, this went out down. Sorry. No, calculation of PC will be assets taken over. So while writing the assets, you take all the assets at a market value. This is very important. Don't, while closing the books, please remember, my dear students, all of you, when you are closing the books, do not transfer to the realization. When I come, I'll tell you that point. Wait, just give me a minute, I'll come. So assets taken out at agreed values, what all they have given the values, you take it, minus the liabilities only taken over. So this is a purchase. So this is how we calculate the purchase consideration. When nothing is mentioned, assets taken over at what? If nothing is mentioned, assets are taken at book values. Please remember, if they give the change value, you take the change value. If they don't give the value, you take at the book value. Assets taken over minus liabilities taken over will be the purchasing consideration. This liability is only third party liabilities. Please remember, that is very important point. So net payment method is what? Under this method, the PC is calculated by adding all the payments made by the purchasing company in the form of shares, securities and cash to the selling company. Note, this note I want you to remember, no amount of liabilities is deducted even if these are assumed by the purchaser. So from this, don't deduct the liability. Here, net payment method means for taking over all our assets and liabilities, they are giving this. Again, from this, you should not minus the liabilities. Please, my dear students, remember this, the assets are taken over, they are not giving this and not taking our assets. Net payment method means they are taking over our assets, they are taking over liabilities, but they are giving in this form of PC. So in this, we will calculate the form for every two. For example, I said, the purchase consideration is the total of all the payments, whether in shares or cash or securities. So we calculate like the example I gave is simple for you to understand, but when you are doing the problem in the classroom, you'll have big problems. Suppose in the example given above, Das Limited agrees to give for every 10 shares in Shiv Limited, 15 shares of 10 each at rupees 8 paid up. So share is not fully paid up. Now it is only 8 rupees called up and paid up. So at that price only we'll calculate. Das also agreed, though the share value is 15 shares of 10 each, rupees 8 rupees paid up. So we'll calculate like this. So shareholders of Das Limited will get for what? For every to give every 10 shares, they are giving 15 shares. So Shiv Limited is having how many shares? You can just see here. How many shares they are having? 6,000 equity shares of 10 each. So for every, for 6,000 into 15 by 10. So for every 10 shares, they are giving you 15 shares. So for 6,000 shares, they will give you 1.5 times. 10 rupees is 15 is 1.5 times. 6,000 ka 1.5 times is 9,000. 9,000 shares of how much is? So give 10 shares in Shiv Limited, 15 shares of 10 is rupees 8 paid up, and also agrees to pay 15,000 in what? Cash. Actually, there's some mistake I did. I agrees to pay for every 15 shares, 10 is rupees 8 paid up. The market value is rupees 15. Somewhere it is there, I think. I know I wrote it or not, I forgot. It's a mistake. So 9,000 shares of rupees 15 is rupees 8 paid up. Okay, so it will come in how much now?
72.
It is 72. This should be what? No? Shares of 10 each it should be. Okay.
Yes, sir.
No. In that company, I didn't write that clearly. Okay. So I'm not confusing. I hope. See what I said. Shiv Limited is having 6,000 shares. So for every 10 shares, they are giving 15 shares. So for 6,000 shares, they will give you 9,000 shares. 9,000 shares of rupees 15 each. Actually, they are having. I wrote there in that. No. Yeah. Here I think I wrote. I forgot somewhere. That line I wrote while creating a problem. So the share value of Shiv Limited is actually 15 rupees. So 9,000 shares of 15 each, but it is how much? Some line is missing, I think. So it is 15 rupees, but paid up is how much?
8.
Actually, it should be 10 only. 9,000 shares of 10 each, rupees 8 paid up. So I'll pay 9,000 into 8, 72, and also 15,000 in cash. Tirmal, while you are teaching them, make it clearly. I
Yes,
just
sir.
messed it up with the.
No, it's okay, sir.
I was creating a problem. So
No, it's okay, sir.
So, but let them understand for every 2 shares, they'll give 3 shares.
Correct, sir.
At what rate they'll give, they should be taught clearly. Okay.
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir.
Important points to be kept in mind while calculating this method. The assets and liabilities taken over by the purchasing company are not to be considered. I told you only for every 2 shares, 3 shares, for every preference share so much, and something in the cash for every 2 shares, some 30 rupees in cash, like that they'll give. That only should be considered, not the assets and liabilities. The payments made by the purchasing company to the shareholders in the form of shares and cash to be taken into account. 2. If creditors and debentures are not taken over by the purchasing, they are not to be considered in the calculation of PC. Okay. And if the liquidation expense of the selling company are to be borne by the purchaser, these can be added. That I will share when I'm teaching you expenses of the vendor company paid by the purchasing company in the form. What are the cases are there? I'll just come back to it in a minute. Okay, I'll tell that more clearly there. So now closing entries I always call in the books when we are amalgamating 2 companies, A company and B company, and forming a C company. A company will write the closing entries and B company will write the closing entries. Closing entries are nothing but only in the books of selling company. Okay. So for transferring of assets taken over to transfer, in simple, transfer of assets to realization. I am telling you in simple, it is technically written like that, but transfer of assets to realization, first entry, all my students just pay attention for 5 minutes without the PPT, just listen to what I am telling you. First entry, transfer of the assets to realization. Second entry, transfer of the liabilities taken over by the purchasing company, liabilities. Third entry, for the purchase considered. We are closing the company. We are selling company. In our books, we write for first entry for assets taken over. Second entry for liabilities taken over, if any. Third entry, they have to pay us the PC, purchase consideration due. And the fourth entry for receiving the purchase consideration in whatever form, in the form of cash or in the form of shares, we write. Fifth entry, if any asset not taken over by them, we have to sell it off. If they don't take, when we are closing the company, if they don't take the furniture, we can't keep on our head. We have to sell it away, whatever it is, and realize it. Sixth entry, if the liability is not taken over, we have to discharge the liability. There is one technical point is there. I will try to tell if I have some if you can wait for some time. Sixth entry. Seventh entry is what, the realization expenses. There are 3. Please pay attention for understanding this. There are 3 cases of realization expenses. When we pay, now I'm talking about we means what? We are selling company. When the selling company pays, we write realization to cash. Like cash is going, and all realization account is debited like a nominal account. Like in second year dissolution also, we close it to realization account, which is a nominal account. Realization to cash we write. Second case is what? When the realization expenses are paid by the purchasing company, and if it is part of purchase consideration. Now here I want you to understand, if it is part of purchase consideration means what? They are taking over all our assets and they are giving us in the part of PC. That means they are not paying. It is part of PC means because they taken our assets and liability they are giving. In that they mentioned that realization for realization expense so much means they are not paying. It is part of PC means we are only paying indirectly. So there also the entry will be realization to cash. And the third case is what? They are paying you PC of 10 lakhs. In addition to 10 lakhs, they say we pay your realization expenses 10,000. That means the third case is what they are paying in addition to purchase consideration. This is the third case. In addition to whatever they have to pay us, they are paying. In addition to that, they are paying means indirectly it means they are paying. In that case, we don't write the entry, either no entry or we write two entries. The two entries is what? First we write when we are paying on behalf of them, we write purchasing company to cash. That means purchasing company is a debtor, they have to pay us. We write them, we debit them to cash, and when they pay us, we write cash to purchasing company. In the format, what happens? Purchasing to cash, cash to purchasing, both get cancelled. Either no entry or we write two entries. Okay, that is how it is more. That your lecturers will teach you on the board very clearly. I'm Tirmal, and sometimes I find it so difficult, teaching this all. If I have a board, no, it can part.
Sir, it's okay, sir. We covered all these points to the students.
So they are able
to focus more on the important points itself, sir.
That's what. These are why debit credit, it will like nice. It will be to teach, but
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand.
So no, for example, some students just I'll tell. Transfer of assets at book values, whether taken or not, only cash and bank balances are not to be transferred. This is another very important point. Cash and bank balances are not transferred if they are not taken over. Why they have to be transferred to realization account? In the sense they have been transferred because they have to be closing the books, that is transferred and closed by transferring to realization account. And cash and bank, we don't close it to realization. It's a nominal account and this is a real account. So that doesn't match. So we close it like that. That some things like that you have to tell them clearly. Then fictitious asset like preliminary expenses, discount and issue of shares, they are all accumulated losses. They cannot go. If they are transferred to realization account, again from through realization, it will go to the sundry shareholders. Instead of that, directly it will be transferred to the sundry shareholders. It is like that. Technically, if you transfer also, if this 10,000 preliminary expenses transferred to realization account, to that extent the loss will be more, and that loss is transferred to realization. I mean to partners, shareholders. Instead, that will be not. It will be giving a very bad sense. The loss will be more and all. So for that purpose, it is transferred to directly to the shareholders. Right. And liabilities individually should be transferred. So here, very important point for them: transfer only those liabilities which are taken over. If they are not taken over, they are not transferred. If they are not transferred, they should be told. Some people will be keep on asking me. When assets are not taken over, the entry is what? When the assets are not taken over, I'll come back to that point when I'll discuss that when it is on the board and the screen. It will be better I discuss that point. When liabilities, this okay. If a fund of portion is transferred, this is also to be transferred to realization account. Purchasing company due is what? Purchasing company to realization, as your sir has said, they have covered, so you will understand very clearly. Purchasing company to realization, shares in purchasing company to bank account. Okay, then for sale of assets not taken over. Now, Tirmal, can you put any one student? I'll ask them, why are they writing bank to realization when they are selling asset? Why not they write bank to asset? We ask them.
We can't, sir, because it is a live event, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Only presentees can talk. Attendees can't talk.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, not an issue. Ma'am, you asked.
If I'm your student, sir, I can respond to it.
Not you. You are my student.
Sridevi can respond. Another student.
I can also respond, yeah.
Okay, you can always tell them because many students, they'll say, no, bank to realization. I said, why bank? Why? When you're selling, bank is coming and asset is going. Why not? So you should tell them that assets are already transferred to realization and closed there. That's why we realize through, we have transferred to realization and we are realizing through realization. By that point, here we write liabilities to cap. When you are paying, why we write here here we are not writing, we are not writing realization to bank. We are writing liability. So tell them, because liabilities are, if they are not taken over, they are not transferred to realization, they are not closed. Now they are being closed. There, even if they are not taken over, they are transferred to realization, they are closed there. That is why we realize. That's like that you should tell them and understand. So yes, this is where I miss, Thirumal, I will tell you very openly, 90% or 95% of the, I've been teaching my students, no one answers this. They do not know. So sometimes it will become for me very difficult in the last minute to teach. So I tell, okay, write this entry, that entry, but yes, that's how it's happening. So this is one. So 7th is what? How much time I have, Thirumal? It's.
Sir, actually we have exceeded the time, but you can wind up, sir, in another 5 minutes or.
Another 5 minutes. Important. Yes. This I'll teach and I'll wind up. Okay. This yes, I want to teach them. If realization expenses if the expenses are to be borne by the selling company, that means we are only paying realization to bank. If the realization expenses are paid by the purchase and it is part of PC, please remember, if it is part of purchase consideration, it is realization to bank. If it is realization are paid by the, and it is in addition to PC, either no entry I wrote here or 2 entries you can write. The 2 entries are nothing but purchasing company to bank or bank to purchasing company. It means the same, but I want you to understand. Realization to bank when we pay, some people ask why, when they are paying, why it is there. So if it is part of PC, they are not paying, they are taking our assets, they are taking. So whatever they have to pay, it is in that only they are, instead of paying us 1 lakh for all the assets, they are paying 90,000 for assets and 10,000 for realization. That means they are not paying me extra, they are paying part of PC. So they are paying me what exactly I should get. They are not paying anything in addition. So indirectly we are only paying. If the PC is 10 lakhs and they are paying from 20,000 or more in addition to PC, then that means they are paying, we don't write entry. The same no entry here will be entry in the books of, when there is no entry here for realization expense, we write in the books of purchasing company an entry. Please remember that point. Then that's all. This is transfer of preference share capital. So all my students now remember, first is transfer of assets, second transfer of liabilities, third for PC due, fourth for issuing the PC, fifth is for sale of assets not taken out, sixth is for paying the liabilities not taken out, seventh realization expenses, eighth for paying of preference shareholders, ninth transfer of preference shareholders, ninth transfer of equity shareholders, 10th profit or loss, 11th pay the preference shareholders, 12th pay the equity. So like that you should remember these 12 entries. Okay, I think it's you may have another class. So I know I told it's very difficult to do it in one session, but correct, sir. Anyway, you have done it. But so if it is a live session, if it is on the board with interactive with the students, it will be much better, but you're all there to take over. Yes, I don't know how much I've done justice. Thirumal, you all should tell, ma'am.
It is very enriching, sir, for the students, and definitely students will leave this guest lecture with lot of inputs. Nice. Sir, I would like to ask a question on behalf of the students.
Yes, yes, please.
Sir, since you're talking about the accounting treatment in the books of transferee, sir.
Yeah.
The excess of net assets in the purchase method, we transfer it to goodwill or capital reserve.
Yes.
And in case of merger, we transfer it to general reserve.
Yeah.
And similarly, when the expense are borne by the transferee, we debit to general reserve in case of merger, yeah, and goodwill in case of purchase. What will happen, sir, if the debentures are discharged at a value higher than the face value? We debit to goodwill in case of purchase.
Yes.
And what in merger, sir?
We debit general reserve. To that extent, our reserve is reduced.
So it's not that we should debit to goodwill in merger.
Not debit.
General reserve.
Everything is going under general reserve. Finally, net figure will come as general reserve. The profit or loss made on entire thing will be transferred to general reserve. They meant it like that. They wanted to. Here in the case of purchase, we are not giving any importance to pooling of assets. So we have taken. So we are making some good amount.
Yes, sir.
It's a goodwill account. We made it good. Because of goodwill, we are paying them more. If we are paying them less, we are making the profit, so they transfer to.
నా మైక్ ఆన్ అవ్వట్లేదు.
Yes, sir.
వేరే
Wishing you, your students all the very best. Okay, thank you for giving me the chance, to interact with all your students, ma'am, and nice talking to all of you.
Thank you very much, sir. I request Mr. Thirmal Rao sir to propose vote of thanks.
Yeah, Sridevi ma'am, thank you. On behalf of Department of Commerce, Bhavat Vivekananda College, I am Thirmal Rao. Would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude, and it gives me immense pleasure actually to extend my gratitude to Mr. G. Vijay Kumar, popularly known as Vijay sir, and it gives me pride to call as my sir. Sir, actually, I should tell you that even my students might be knowing that what terms you have been using, where what I use also in the class, and especially I should tell you, sir, when the next sum is easy, what we call is chiller sum.
Yeah.
So even students might be knowing, and you used to tell us, I'll make you play with the sums.
Yes.
So I keep using all these terms in the class also. So thank you so much, sir, for making it to this guest lecture in spite of your busy schedule.
No,
The students would have really, I myself am enriched with your new trends in mergers and acquisitions and the way you showed the accounting treatment. So definitely students will get a value addition with this guest lecture, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I would also like to extend my thanks to the management of Bhavans Vivekananda College, Principal Professor Y. Ashok sir, Head Department of Commerce, Dr. K. Sulata Reddy ma'am, and thanks to all my team members of Advanced Accounting, Dr. Geetanjali ma'am, Mrs. Sridevi ma'am, Mrs. Srimati ma'am, and last but not, I would also extend my thanks to Mrs. Jayalakshmi ma'am, who's been technically working out for us for conducting this Microsoft Teams live program. And last but not the least, thanks students for having a patient listening. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, all of you.
So that
We'll have
we
a
are
picture.
just giving you a virtual floral.
Ma'am,
bouquet to
we'll
you.
have a
Thank you.
picture. Geetanjali ma'am.
Yeah. Sridevi, switch on your video.
Thank you, ma'am. I got your bouquet.
Sir,
I got your bouquet virtually. I
we'll
took
have a
it.
picture, sir. Please hold on.
Yeah.
This is our group pic.
వస్తుంది.
Manohar sir, నేను forward చేశాను. Done. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Namaskaram. Okay, all of you.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Pati.
Yeah.
Nice, you all. It's nice. Have a nice day.
From me, not namaskaram, my hand at your feet.
Okay, thank you. Always. Blessings are always good luck and all the best. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you, sir.
అంటే మనం 8 వర్షం ట్రయల్ వర్షన్
శ్రీదేవి ఏం చేసేసి